Welcome back to the Live Beyond podcast. We haven't done this in a while. It's me and Coach Lloyd Macfarlane.
How are you doing? You well?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a while that it's just been the two.
It's been about what, 7 episodes now?
Yeah.
Since we started.
Yeah.
Since we had our one-on-one conversation. So
yes.
Quite a bit happened. Quite a few things planned for the future. What do you have going on?
So I'm really excited about the tour series. I think last year I just missed it by a little bit because I really wanted to do get all 3 medals.
Yeah. What's a little bit?
I only
Give us some
Mossel
detail.
Bay. I missed Mossel Bay, right?
Okay.
So I did Ironman. I did a full Ironman in PE. Then I went and did Durban, and Durban was really lovely. And I couldn't do Mossel Bay because I had to do a charity event.
Right.
So I couldn't do Mossel Bay. So that means I missed out on the Tour Series medal. So I think this year, that's the big goal for me, to ideally get the Tour Series medal. Then I can really, I think, as much as you've done a full Ironman, I think you really feel like an Ironman competitor once you've done all 3. Then you can say, like, the South African Tour Series, you've done all 3.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, and I'm also excited about Rwanda. Last year we also missed it just a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
We just couldn't organize our things properly, but I think it's been an incredibly amazing journey. But I mean, you've been there for the ride as well.
Yeah.
How's it been for you?
It's been awesome. Look, it's been it's all in trying to sustain everything that we're doing. Sometimes it does feel a little overwhelming, but I think we're managing well. The Live Beyond, we have a couple of new people. So we're actually growing a team. So that's had its own challenges. I mean, we have quite a few new people that have joined that are taking on the journey. Obviously, inspired by what you accomplished last year. It's just, and it's at the same time it's exciting, but it's just, it also feels like when people see what you've accomplished and they want to be part of the story, they don't necessarily know what it takes, because you made it seem so easy.
It's like herding cats.
So exactly. So it almost feels like, we have the responsibility to actually say, okay, we invited you, we inspired you. You've now come on board. Welcome. But, how do we actually help you along the journey? So,
what has been the most, I think the most fulfilling thing for me in all of this was going back to PE. Right. And first of all the questions, you came back, that's the first one. Yeah. Right. And then the second one.
You think people were really that surprised?
They were really surprised.
Do you think they were surprised, or were they excited?
I think it was a mixture of both, right? Because they saw the blood, sweat, and tears. That finish, just a couple of minutes before the cutoff time, etc. I mean, everybody watched that journey, and I think what also made it extra special was the fact that it was almost in honor of Derek. I mean, Derek Watts was there. A lot of them got to meet him. Yeah. A lot of them got to interact with him on the day, and then he passed away. I don't want to say the most beautiful thing about all of this, but the iconic thing about that Ironman is the fact that, first of all, Derek was there. He watched us and he supported us and he was with us. And, he was so much an integral part of this journey because we were recording everything.
Right.
And then we did Ironman PE.
Yeah.
And he was there that Sunday. The following Sunday, Derek and I broadcast the show that we'd shot last week.
Yeah.
Showed everyone the journey, showed everyone the accomplishment.
And this was live in studio.
In studio, right?
Yeah.
So the story, him covering the story in PE, was his last story that he covered for Carte Blanche. The last time that he was ever on air again in studio was the day that we then announced and broadcast that Ironman journey. So it was also almost as if he was saying a personal goodbye to me, and that was his thank you. And I mean, it's difficult to actually explain, but it feels so personal for me that was his last story ever for Carte Blanche. I mean, he'd been there for 36 years,
and
then his last story and his last on-air broadcast were were for me and with me. And for me, that's why it's left like an indelible mark. And I can't forget or speak about my Ironman journey without obviously mentioning Andre, Derek. But mentioning Derek. And that's what people came to me, and they kept on saying, oh man, Derek was here. So sorry to have heard about him. We saw that last episode. And then the cherry on top, I think there were about 4 people that I can remember and count that said they were in PE because of what we did.
Oh, wow.
That said I was lying. I was never going to do an Ironman. I never thought I'd ever do an Ironman. I was just a cyclist, or I was just a swimmer. And everybody's got their own special little unique story, and they did it because of what we achieved. Because the work that we put in, the work that Google puts in from a social media point of view, the training that we do together, everything. They've been watching that journey. They've been seeing what we did, and they were inspired to do their first Ironman, and at PE was the sort of the one that they wanted to start with. And it's incredible.
Yeah, the story about Derek is it's quite incredible. Almost. I mean, I got to meet him for the first time. I got to meet him a couple of times and actually interact with him. And my experience with him at the time was that he seemed quite invested, not only in the journey and the story of Andre, but in you as a person as well. You worked with him for a couple of years. You've obviously, and he almost comes across as he's got a very soft demeanor about him and a very fatherly demeanor. Is that what he was to you? Because it seems, I was watching you on TV when you were doing the tribute, and out of all the presenters, you seem to be the one who was more effective.
I was broken.
You couldn't even hold your lines and keep to the script.
Nothing. I was broken.
What is it about Derek? What is your experience, and what exactly did he mean to you?
You know what was really special, Langa? Like Derek was an incredible human being. Anybody and anyone that has ever met Derek Watts will tell you what an absolutely beautiful human being and soul he was. Right. So we all agree on that, right? But what was special with this is that I never knew how sick Derek was. Right. So to give you an example, when we shoot a carte blanche story, let's say we're shooting Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, right? We take that first flight out. Let's say it's Cape Town, Durban, or wherever out of Johannesburg.
Right.
We'll fly out the first flight out, the one that everyone hates, that works or travels. That first flight out in the morning at 5:30. Land. Let's say in Durban, Cape Town. As soon as we land, we go out, we shoot the whole day, and then sleep, and then wake up the following morning, shoot. Then
this is the whole carte blanche crew, right?
That's the carte blanche, and then we last flight back home.
Right.
Now Derek had become so ill that he would now arrive a day before even the crew arrived. So he'd arrive on his own because he was sick. He needed time. He was getting tired. He didn't have the energy anymore. So he was really, really not well. And I didn't know how sick Derek was, right? When we did Ironman, right? Derek was there when we went into the water. Remember, he was there with us in the morning. He was there when we were parking, checking our bikes and everything. And he was there right up until 12 o'clock when I finished the race.
And you arrived just before 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
They were already there. The crew was already there, already set up. Cameras were rolling.
He was there every step of the way. There was a time Derek ran alongside me to do a piece to camera, say, "How are you feeling, Mac?" And I mean, Derek was in his 70s, guys. You know? As tall and lanky and healthy as he was looking, he was in his 70s. He ran alongside me, encouraged me, and he was there right at the finish line.
Right. Yeah.
And Derek saw the falling of the Berlin Wall. He was there at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He's seen the best and the worst of this country. He's been at some of the most horrible and saddest stories.
Right.
But he couldn't hold back his tears at that finish line
when
I finished. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So there's something really incredible and special about, you know, the role that he played. And I almost can never stop doing what I'm doing because of Derek, because of Andre, and what they did for me personally. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
It's almost like it was a special tribute. Because everybody's got their story about Derek. I just worked with him. I'd meet him. We'd chat once in a while or whatever. But this is my personal story with Derek, in the many stories that he shared, not only with his family and friends and whatever, but with the whole of South Africa. This is something that almost feels like it belongs to me.
Yeah. I love that. And and the interesting thing about your journey is that obviously, you know, completing Ironman, I mean, your build up and the work that you're doing towards Ironman, it was a big goal that you had set to yourself.
It was crazy. It wasn't a big goal. It was a mile.
And it was a driver, right? And the whole thing about with Andre's story was obviously motivating, and from a psychological and mental perspective, it got you to the finish line, actually.
Yes.
What is driving you beyond that? What do you have, and how has it been for you, and in training and trying to maintain that level of commitment that you had? And what is it that you're using? Are there any tools that you're applying to try and keep yourself motivated?
I think, so the first and most important thing, and I think that's one of the biggest lessons that you taught me, right? Is that don't kill yourself, right? Don't kill yourself. Work hard enough and train hard enough so that you can still come back the following day.
Right.
We're old now.
Consistency.
I'm never going to break the land speed record. Exactly. I'm never going to become a 100-meter athlete. I'm never going to become a top athlete in my life, right? Yeah. I'm old. Those Springbok colors and school colors. And they're gone. No, you're not going to get that. So stop it, right? So train enough and put in enough work so that you can keep coming back tomorrow and doing it again and doing it again and then enjoying it as well, right? Yeah. So that's the first thing around training.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that, as much as we did something incredible for Andre's kids, for the family, and to raise awareness around, bike safety, road safety, etc., right? Taking on this thing of doing Ironman changed my life.
Yes.
For me, it was a very pivotal moment in my life where, having accomplished it and finishing it, I now know that there's nothing that I can set my mind to that I cannot achieve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what it did for me, because I weighed 106 kilograms. I always say that to people. I weighed 106 kilograms. I had 6 months to train.
Yeah.
People, even professional athletes, will never take on wanting to do a full Ironman with that amount of training. Right? And I had Gugu, I had you, I had my family, I had friends, I had the whole of the Carte Blanche viewers behind me.
Yeah.
And that's what spurred me on. But beyond that, I saw the impact that it had in my life. I saw the impact that it had in my children's life. I saw the impact that it had in ordinary people. I'm like an Iron Man. You know what I mean? People see me, hey, we're an Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we may take it lightly, we may brush it aside, but it is actually an incredible feat that I achieved. Now, if I can do that, what else can't I do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I now base anything that I want to achieve on that, to say, if we could do this, having put in the time, having put in the commitment, having put in the work, it is possible.
Yeah.
I now truly believe that it is possible. So when anybody asks me, can you do this, or do you want to do this? I'm like,
of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, shit, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it?
Then you just have to figure out the plan.
But in the back of my mind I know what we did. I know what we did as a team. I know what we achieved. It is possible. You know what I mean? I think just before Ironman Ironman 70.3 PE, I think about a month before that, I went and did a mountain biking challenge, where for 4 days, we're doing 380 kilometers on mountain bikes. I did it with an e-bike, but it's not like that e-bike.
So what was that? That was something that you guys were doing for, as part of a charity?
Yes.
I think you were raising money.
We were raising funds for kids with Down syndrome, Ups with Downs. A little organization that really helps and helps families, helps children, helps people cope with kids that have Down syndrome, and helps kids with Down syndrome to now fit into society, to feel normal, etc. So we were doing that. So we were doing something like anything between 120 to 80 Ks each and every single day, from George to Oudtshoorn, from Oudtshoorn to some funny town I can't remember, then back to George, then Nice. So it was
about 400 Ks.
400
what
Ks.
was that? 7 days?
4 days.
4 days.
4
wow.
days. Yeah, 4 days, doing about 100 Ks each day. Right, and I'd never done mountain biking before.
Right.
I'd never gone up and down mountains, and I didn't know, because a road bike, you sit on that bike and you just one way, just going, pedal. But it's different. It takes a different skill. It takes a different bit of brevity to be able to do mountain biking, because you're going downhill. It's gravel. It's heavy. It's a totally different thing. But I knew I could do it. I knew I could finish. I knew that I could stick with those guys. I knew that it was a new challenge. It's something that I can do because I did Ironman. You know?
Yeah.
And now everything in my life or any task or any challenge that's put in front of me, I know that it can be done.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
So in my personal life, my spiritual life, my social life, anything that may seem insurmountable, I know I can go get over it because I know what I achieved with Ironman because what we did was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's also amazing to, a lot of the guys that are into, endurance sport, into cycling, Ironman and that sort of thing, they seem to be inclined to be using what they are doing in the sport to actually raise awareness. They're going, these guys are doing some crazy, crazy stuff. We had 2 guests from the Cows. I think we had Richard
Lasky, yes,
and we had Stephen,
yes,
before that, and the guys at the Cows. They do. I know Richard Lasky is doing Comrades very soon, and he's doing it in his cow suit again, and he's going to be. And the guy isn't even training, but they doing it as part of they're actually raising funds for children,
Chalk, yes.
for Chalk. So essentially, they have a couple of houses that actually house children from remote areas who've come to the big cities to get care for cancer. So it's just amazing that we don't only go and we do the endurance sport and we challenge ourselves, but we also use that as an example and as a platform to actually raise awareness around good causes, right? Which is actually awesome.
You've always said it always seems impossible until it's done.
Yeah.
So we say it always seems impossible until it's done, right? Mm-hmm. Did you at any point as well feel like you've dived into the deep end with everything? Because it was obviously my journey, the Promise to Andre thing that we did. And then now this whole Live Beyond movement, because I feel like it's almost like a movement where people are just coming in and becoming a part of this journey. You've got a coach, you've got to advise, you've got to yell, you've got to scream, you've got to, all of these things have to come into play because you're managing people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you?
Well, it's been a big learning curve. We were brave enough to do this for the first time, and just to go in and dive in and literally dove in. We dived into the deep end, right?
Yes.
And not only that, we put it out on a public platform. We put it on television. We were all over social media. So you kind of, as a coach, you're continuously learning. Mm-hmm. You always assessed because the other coaches, if you like that, you're coaching Macfarlane Mulady who's on carte blanche. Everyone wants to coach Macfarlane Mulady, and they're wondering who's the short Latin complexion black guy who came out of nowhere who's now all of a sudden coaching this guy. So there's a lot of you're always being assessed, and I could actually feel, there were instances where we were at races and I'd have people coming up to me and actually just chatting me up, and I could see, but they're probing and they're trying to find out who this guy is and what he's about. So you have to up your game, and I obviously I had to make sure that and it was a big load to carry.
Yes.
I had to make sure that I draw on my strengths and my experience over the couple of years with triathlon and what I've learned in terms of coaching and health and fitness and that sort of thing. So it was unnerving. In some instances, in a lot of instances, it's a load to carry, right?
Was it a lot of pressure though? Because obviously people
it was a
come
ton
in,
of pressure.
They look at you and they're like, as you say, who are you? And because triathlon is, for lack of a better description, it's seen as such a white sport, like swim, run, cycle. What are you people doing? You're doing white people things. You're going to die. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And now for a black guy to be coaching another black guy, and then finishing,
and everyone is thinking they both don't. We want to watch this. We want to see this thing come down and crash and fall apart.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, for me, also at just the journey itself and the courage was enough. Enough of a step for us to take. at just being part of the journey and attempting something like that. Even if I probably would have been disappointed if you didn't finish. But the fact that you
Even tried.
You know, you woke up, you were there at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, because you couldn't sleep.
The nerves are killing me. I was like,
you know what I mean? And it's that courage, and you were doing it for a cause. And when it comes to, you know, raising awareness around cycling safety and Andre's story, we really delivered on that promise, and we delivered on the objective even before you started racing, you know.
And that was already done.
That for me was very fulfilling, and now it's even more fulfilling that literally. I mean, we started Team Live Beyond, where we have people who were inspired by your journey, and obviously looking at this big guy who's like doing, you know, who's gone within like a very short space of time, went into triathlon and then went straight into finishing a full triathlon. They're like, okay, maybe,
yes,
you know, and it's also a responsibility, but it's also encouraging that we're able to do that, because, like you're saying, it's the sport is the entry barriers to the sport are very high. Yes, the gear is very expensive. Entry to a full Ironman is almost 8,000 rands. You know, the half Ironman is 4,500 rands. Add gear, you have to get a bike, you have to travel to races, the food and all of that. It adds up, you know. So I'm happy and I'm fulfilled every time, you know, I get a call or we get an email from someone who's actually interested and who actually wants to join the team. I mean, we're sitting on we probably have a team of about 20 people at the moment, some of them on and off, you know, different levels, different skill levels.
And it's unbelievable, you know, the people that you wouldn't even think. I mean, I think of Mapasek, I think of Tsikwe. I look at, I mean, Tsepo for me is the ultimate, you know, he's the ultimate Live Beyonder. You know, for me, he's almost like the mascot of what we're doing. You know, when you hear his journey, when you hear his story, and I'm almost like we really need to have him on, you know, on the podcast when he's ready. You know, to see how he lost all of that weight, to see how he fights and stays on that bike, how, you know, he's really, really, really taken this up to say, I'm going to turn my life around, because it was a matter of life and death for him.
Right,
you know, to say, if I don't change my life, if I don't bring about this change, there's a huge possibility I might get a heart attack, stroke, or whatever. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And to have people like that come on, it's also a huge responsibility on you, because the person is almost taking his life and handing it over to you and saying, help me take this one more step.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, but it's a very fulfilling journey. I always say to the guys, it's actually part of the journey. Actually enjoy the journey.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
if you go and you do the training and you go and do the race and don't finish the race, it's not the end of the world.
No.
You know, and that's how you learn. And that's how we actually become better people. Through the failure. And actually going back to training and say, I'm actually coming back for this.
Yeah, you wake up to fight another day, man.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think that's a bigger lesson, you know, for everyone. I mean, I actually hope that people will strive to fail. You know, and sometimes I encourage people, sometimes probably push them over the edge. Probably sometimes I can be, you know, unrealistic in terms of the goals that I set for people. But I do believe that people have the potential to push themselves beyond their limits, right?
And I think that's...
And if you don't get there, you just...
At least you're part of the journey.
It's part of life,
yes.
Right? We fail at work. You know, you lose a job, you get retrenched. You know, it's fine. Take a couple of days. You know, immerse yourself in the sadness. Feel sorry. Actually, feel the feelings. But after a couple of days, once you've gone through that, you get back in the saddle. And you actually learn from that lesson, and you actually become a stronger person.
You do.
You know what I mean?
You know, I look at. I mean, even on a personal level, and the reason why we do this, right? It's about living a purposeful life. You know,
right.
As much as you know, we train, we cycle, we do whatever, but it's always about leading a purposeful life. I know it's made me a better person. It's made me a better dad. You know, it's made me a better human.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Work, everything that I've done, and a lot of people, you know, especially those that either played sport, played soccer, played rugby, did this at school, and now they just chill on the lounge and they wonder why they're getting sick, etc., etc. And then they make that first step to say, I want to do this, right? And once you start doing that, when you see the change that it brings about in your life, the way you walk, the way you talk, the confidence, being able to wake up in the morning, the way you feel, what it does for your skin, all of a sudden you're like a new lease on life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like...
And the confidence.
The confidence. I used to hate going onto the scale. Now it's like, it's my personal goal. Like right now, I looked at this morning and I'm at 102 kilograms. I'm like, I've got to get to double digits. I've got to get to double digits. You know, if I can get even to 99 or 98, I know I've once again achieved something. I've climbed over another mountain. You know what I mean? And it's like when you're in the pool. You know, I think the only reason why I finished this last Ironman, even though it was a half Ironman, is because there's one thing that I got right in the pool, and it was just breathing. I got my breathing right. I was no longer panicking. I'm just here, you know. I'm just here, and it's the only thing that made me finish. The water was choppy. I mean, I remember at this previous one, every time I looked up, somebody was like asking for help. You know, and I just kept going because my breathing was right. I wasn't swimming like a champ. I wasn't swimming like a professional. I wasn't swimming like the great swimmers. But my breathing was right, and I was able to. I finished left with only 7 seconds. I mean, Google was telling me that
swim was terrible.
The waters were choppy. People were like just bailing and bailing and bailing and bailing. 7 seconds. That's all it took. And you know, for me, it's those small things, those small changes, those small little those small little screws that you have to turn that can change your life.
Exactly.
I got my breathing right, and I was able to finish the swim, choppy as it was. But even in life, it's like that, isn't it? You know, you change a small thing. You sleep slightly earlier. You drink a tequila less. You drink a Jägermeister you party a weekend less, and you do something else that's more fulfilling. Then your purpose just keeps changing. You know what I mean? It's just it's the small steps that lead to the bigger, the bigger achievements, and people take that for granted.
The number of lessons that you learn from that one race, just doing those 3 disciplines, it's insurmountable, right? And I'm really glad that this time around that Ironman company has actually come around again, and they've partnered us on the cause. Obviously, because we with the people that we know and our background and the people that interact and people that follow us, we want to make them believe and tell them that this is possible, and it's actually good that Ironman is actually seeing value in that, because we want to make triathlon accessible to more people, because it's an awesome sport. It's just, the discipline that it teaches you, the amount of training, the health benefits, and just psychologically and mentally is just.
I mean, I remember the conversation that we had with Werner, and when you spoke to Werner from Ironman South Africa to say that, listen, we want to do this again. This is what we're going for. We're going for the Tour Series medal. We're back. And Werner was like, oh my God, now I'm going to speak to the guys. Ironman has now been run by the international group. And Adam Price then picked up the phone and he spoke to us and, started chatting to Google. And, once he starts speaking to Google, it's over. Google will sell you fucking sand in the desert. And they just took us on, and I feel like it's been such a huge accolade for them to recognize what we do, to see and really respect the work that we've put in, not just for Ironman, but for the sport, for the individuals, for people that never thought, being black and doing a triathlon is something that's possible. And all races, all colors, people that watch Carte Blanche never thought they'd do this. I mean, it was an old Bali that came to me, a really old Bali, probably a guy in his about 50s, 60s, that came to me and said, hey, I'm doing Ironman because of you. They saw the story.
Oh, is this in Port Elizabeth?
In Port Elizabeth, and I still get DMs now and then when people either watch an episode or see something from I mean, you see it on Ironman, on various other international Ironman champions, championships or whatever, where the story keeps coming up and that finish keeps coming up, and it's incredible. I mean, I met guys from Thailand that were chatting to us and saying, that guy.
Who are you?
Who are you? Oh, yeah, that guy.
Stop it.
We've been culturally inappropriate.
But the journey continues. So it's a Tour Series medal. So you have to do 3 half Ironman, 7.3s in South Africa. So you just completed Port Elizabeth. Durban is up next. Durban we're doing in a couple of weeks, and then we're actually getting the medal, hopefully, this time around in Mossel Bay. So what happens is that you actually get a medal for each of the 70.3s when you complete them.
Okay.
And then on the last one, you get your third medal plus the Tour Series medal, which is like a massive piece of metal, right? I still have mine hanging in the garage.
I'm gonna wear it like jewelry.
I'll be having
it's easy. It's easy that you used to have like this huge watch on it. Like, I think for the next week, I'm gonna wear it as part of my jewelry.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it because I think, more than anything, it's the people that we meet along the journey. It's the people that we meet when we're there, and the work that we're putting in. And I mean, like Gugu is like a mother hen when it comes to the social media posts, making sure that we're getting out there, making sure that we're getting the right and relevant people to be part of this sort of Live Beyond podcast.
Right, yeah.
But it's become like a movement. For me, it's become almost like a movement to say, guys, get up and do something with your lives. I did Ironman. I mean, this whole Live Beyond philosophy is not about triathlon, about Ironman, but it's like living beyond your fears. Live beyond your fears. Go write that book.
Right.
Go do that MBA. Go climb Kilimanjaro. Go run a Comrades.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is possible. I mean, we ended off the earlier on saying that it always seems impossible until it's done, and that's so true.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I firmly believe in what we've started and what we're doing. It's not about running, training, cycling, swimming, but more about changing people's lives, inspiring people to actually do something that they've always wanted to do, because the fulfillment you get going over that finish line, writing that book, getting that degree. I mean, recently people have been, showing pictures of themselves getting their degrees. And nobody can ever take that away from you. What you achieve, what you put your blood, sweat, and tears into, nobody can take it away. It's like you say, whether you finish or not, but just starting is the beginning of the journey.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to Rwanda as well. We forgot to mention that. I think that's around towards the end of the year.
It's August. So
it's in August. That's soon.
We do Durban, which is in June. Then July. Then August it's Rwanda. Then it's August, September, October. Then November. We've got like a full-on calendar.
So no off season.
No off season.
You've been having off season.
Yeah, but
you came from so you had prayer month. You obviously had fasting.
Ramadan, yes.
You actually did half Ironman immediately, probably 2 weeks after Ramadan.
2 weeks after.
How do you train on an empty stomach?
You
don't train.
You don't.
You just drop weight.
I had these wonderful ideas of I must get myself like a treadmill and try and go on the bike and work out in the morning. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to, unless you I don't know, maybe it's my lack of commitment, but I think also that time is such an incredibly spiritual, it's a time
Ramadan.
Ramadan, it's a time to spiritually connect with God, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I realized that, so let me tell you this. I realized that I've been physically fit. I've been training quite hard. I've been mentally fit. When Ramadan came, I realized that I was not I haven't been spiritually fit.
Oh, man.
That I've been neglecting my spirituality. I've been neglecting my prayers. I've been neglecting the Quran. I've been neglecting just my whole spiritual fitness was gone.
Right, yeah.
Because I struggled through Ramadan. I struggled to wake up in the mornings for eating. I struggled with my prayer. I struggled with the reading of the Quran. So everything in my life was coming right. Spiritually, physically, I was doing well. Mentally, I was very strong because the two went hand in hand. Then came Ramadan, and I realized that I'm not spiritually fit.
And this is the thing. And sometimes we think about wellness, and we think about health, and we think about it only from a physical perspective, and it's almost one-dimensional.
Yes.
There are like probably like three other aspects. So if you think about it, there's this physical aspect, but there's also the mental, right? That you've got to look after. There's the emotional.
Yes.
There's the spiritual. There's the financial as well.
Of course.
That we don't talk about much. If you
taboos.
Exactly. Yeah. So when we're talking holistic wellness, which is what Live Beyond is about, and these are some of the subjects that we are going to be touching on eventually, as we grow, we just started the podcast. I mean, we're about seven episodes in. We're still learning. We're making mistakes. It might be looking shitty here and there, but we do look. We do our best, and I believe it'll grow and we'll improve on it. And
it will come right. I think for me more than anything else is that we it's not about glitz and glam. It's about real stories. It's about really speaking to human beings. Because there's one thing that we forget: when the lights, the cameras, and everything else is off. The same way that once you close your laptop or switch your phone and whatever, there's those 5 minutes before you fall into sleep where you really get to meet yourself. Where you think about your day, what you've done, what you achieved, how you could have answered that email, how you could have spoken to that person, how you ignored someone in the lift and you realize that that's my colleague, but you were so engrossed in whatever it is that you were doing. Yeah, we want to speak to that human. We want to speak to that person that's inside there, that child, that inner child that has been just left. Because I mean, I remember when we started cycling, going downhill, and even to this day, I love going downhill. Also, I'm king of the downhill. But that moment of just going downhill. The wind in your hair, and you almost feel like that there's nothing else that matters. It's just you and the road. Right. You feel like you're a child again. You feel you feel like there's all the problems in the world, the debit orders, the bouncing debit orders, the home loans that we have to pay, the cars, the kids' school fees. All of that all seems to go away. Yeah. And a lot of people don't have that. Right. Their life is just, they just keep, pouring out, and there's nothing that's coming in. And I feel like what we've done with Live Beyond, the community and the people that we've brought in, it's almost like God has handpicked them for us. Right. And there's a purpose that we have in each one of their lives in some way or the other, whether through the talks that you have with Googs, or the talks that you have with you, or the camaraderie that we share together, the bananas that we eat together, or even the small little conversations when we just, going on a flat road and, hey, how have you been? How's business? How's work? And it's really, you see almost how it significantly changes your personal life and also the other people. And we don't talk about these things. We don't know how people are doing financially. We don't know how people are doing emotionally. We don't know how people are doing spiritually. And when we start having these conversations and touching on each other in these small ways, it does have a significant impact and a difference. I mean, and it helps you, fight to live another day. Yeah. We wake up very early in the morning. We're out running and cycling and going to the gym at 4 a.m. in the morning. But it's not a lot of people that get that opportunity. No. I mean, when you're out there running on the road, there are guys who are pushing trolley, going through dustbins, trying to collect, for recycling. There are people that are actually in taxis and getting off taxis and actually going to work at that time. Langa, the most beautiful thing that was ever said on this podcast, I can't remember who it was. But it's a gentleman, I think the one that
was it not Stephen?
Stephen, right? No, the one that trains with
Ian.
Bruce Fordyce. Ian said I have an opportunity to see 365 sunrises. Right. Or you have an opportunity to see 365 sunsets. Yeah. And that's all he lives for. Yeah. And I think for me that has stayed with me. It's going to stay with me for the rest of my life, because I know those mornings when you wake up and it's, there's a bit of that crisp chill wind. Yeah. You zip up your top, you close the gate, and you start your watch and you start going. And
there's no one on the road.
And there's no one on the road.
And it's quiet.
It's quiet. It's you, your thoughts. It's your day. It's your plans. It's everything just sort of like falls into place. You declutter and you get into a zone. And there's times when you get tired. And there's a certain place that you reach when you're running or cycling or even swimming, where everything just falls into line. Right. Where it's one foot in front of the other. You're not feeling tired. You're breathing properly. You're not even checking your watch, but it's just you and the road, or you and the pool, and you and the bike.
I think they call it flow state.
Yeah, when that flow state happens, it is probably one of the most beautiful things one can ever experience, because that's the time when you realize, when you get your best times, when you instead of running 7Ks, you run 8, or you run 9, or you run your best times. But at the end of that day, You get into the shower and you start your day, and everything just falls into place. Everything. You know how to answer that email. You know how to, you're not afraid to answer that call. You want to meet that person. You want to make that appointment. And it's almost like by the time you get to like 12 o'clock, you've achieved everything and you feel like you're a fucking champ.
Yeah. We're talking about running.
Yeah.
Comrades is coming up. 2024 Comrades is in around June. Any plans of doing Comrades at any point of your life?
I'm not.
You've got to do Ironman. If you've done Ironman, you've got to do Comrades.
I'm doing Comrades next year.
Are you?
I'm definitely doing Comrades next year. I think it's one of those. It's not even a bucket list thing, but I feel like I can now give the Comrades a bash.
Yeah.
And I've got lots of training and preparation that I can do for these upcoming Ironman races, but next year, my focus will be, I'm going to do a full Ironman next year.
Yeah.
And then after that, my focus is going to be totally on doing a Comrades.
Right, yeah.
It's one of those things where I don't want to be told by overseas people about the Comrades. It's one of those things that I feel like it's a huge event on our South African calendar.
Exactly, yeah.
And I cannot take myself as somebody that is involved in sport and not having done Comrades.
Yeah.
It'll probably be hard. It'll probably be painful. It's probably going to be a hell of a lot of training, much harder, I believe, than training for Ironman.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be worth it, and I can't wait to get over that Comrades finish line.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the one thing that really tests who you are.
You know what it is? You'll probably love the start. And this is my experience with Comrades. I suppose with any endurance sports, whether it be Ironman or Comrades or running, you hate at some point. Okay, at the start, because there's the energy and there's the vibe, it's nice, right? Until you get to where the endurance has to start kicking in. Mm-hmm. With Comrades, it's normally around halfway, right, where you start questioning your decisions, right? Yeah, right, and from the halfway mark, and for some people it's probably around the 55-60K mark. Mm-hmm. Everything just falls apart. You can come with your plans, you could have your training, and this is where a lot of guys, when you've gone to Comrades and you have goals of finishing any sub whatever, mm-hmm. At that point you either decide whether you actually going for it or if you're just going for a finish.
Yeah, all
your plans go out the window. Right. And from there, it's just pain management. Mm-hmm. Right. And at that, for that period of the Comrades, all you're thinking about is, I'm not coming back here. I am not doing this again.
Ever.
At that point.
Yes.
Right. But you know what the funny thing is that once you get to that finish line and you get beyond that finish line and you finish Comrades, it's the most beautiful feeling ever. You're in pain. Well, the last time, I think it was last year or the year before that, it was a down run. They call it a down run, but there's nothing.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing
down run about that thing.
Yes.
Pietermaritzburg to Durban. You run into the stadium, you finish. They give you a bottle of water, whatever, and your small medal. The medal is this small. I don't know if you've seen what a Comrades medal looks like. It looks ridiculous. Anyway, you get the medal, and then actually, they give you a medal. To get to a bottle of water or to a bottle of energy, you actually have to walk up the stairs in the stadium after running 90 Ks, right?
I don't need
it. But it's so painful. You can't even walk. You can't move. But the feeling afterwards is like. And for a couple of days recovering, you'll still be in the state. You're like, yeah, I've achieved this and I won't do it again. And probably for a couple of months. Come the following year when Comrades
fever starts.
And the Comrades, it's like a fever. It's like you get swept away. I mean, I've spoken to so many guys who have been like, no, I'm going to do it once. I just want to do the up run and the down run. And I look at them now, they're on their 9th Comrades. They're going for their 10th. You just get, it's the amount of FOMO mm-hmm. that happens around you when Comrades season starts. It's just amazing.
Because there's there's a community, right? There's a community of guys or community of people that have done the comrades that have run. I mean, I see it when we go on our runs. Especially when we join like the running clubs and go, like you see the guys that have done comrades or that are doing comrades or training for comrades. It's like a little community. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's like us in the cradle, you know. We look at each other. It's like, oh, have you done Ironman? Oh, okay. Oh, would you do the half or the full? It's that little community, and then within the running guys, it's like, okay, have you done comrades? Because people will speak about, hey, I've done Soweto, I've done this, I've done the Wally Hayward, I've done this and this and this. But the big question is always, have you done the comrades?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's what everybody aims for. Right. It's like us with triathlon. It's like, have you done a full Ironman?
You're not really a try until you've done the full Iron. We don't consider you.
I've got absolutely no respect for people that have done the half. The only reason I did a half was because whether you do full or half and you do all three, you still get the Tour Series medal. That's the only. But I looked at. I mean, even the kit is different. I mean, you saw I was like looking at my bag. I was like, I want a full Ironman bag. I was like, but I know that they deserve it. And when I was
happy that I chose the half.
When I watched them, right, and
the guys on the full.
So what we did, right? So I after the half, as much as it I won't say it was easy. I went home. I slept for about 2 or 3 hours, right? And then I came for supper.
Yeah.
At about 9:30 to 10. There were still people running. Fucking. This can't be me. I felt
why?
Nothing for them. I felt that I was like, the guys, you should not be doing this to yourself. I looked at them and these guys, and they were just going, and it's 10 o'clock. I'm like, because I went to go fetch my bike. I did everything.
Yeah.
I showered. I was smelling fresh, and they were here. I remember.
It was nice. It was nice to finish while the sun is up.
Guys, I remember that. I know that. I remember this pain. I remember this busted pain. Never.
Okay, we need to wrap up. So this year it's Tour Series. We're doing full Ironman again
next year,
2025.
And it's the 20th anniversary.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's good. This year is going to be a big year. There's some magazine competition that I also want to enter, but I'm modeler, I want to see. So I'm going to enter for that one as well.
Are we going for the weight loss program? And we're going to build some muscle.
Yes.
You're going to look good. You're going to be that Macfarlane or Valtech, Mr. Valtech.
Listen. I want to be on a magazine
They
cover.
don't know that you used to be a model. You're a modeler.
Muscle Bay. You must watch me, Muscle Bay. I'll be like those guys that are just here. Yo, what's up? What are you doing, bro? Yo. I want to be a boiki for Muscle Bay. Watch the space. Watch the space.
Yeah. No, cool. Oh, wishing you all the best, man. I know that you're enjoying this, and congrats on 70.3 again. You're 77, second 70.
Yeah, 70, because I've done PE and I've done Durban.
And you've done Durban.
Yeah, so, it's just Muscle
awesome.
Bay.
The Muscle Bay is the thing. It's a hard race. It's not an easy race.
I hear so.
The swim is nice. The bike is like super, super hilly. You have to super train for it.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm sure you'll be okay.
I'm keen. I'm ready. I've got my TT bike. I still need to break its virginity. I've never rode it since I bought it, so I'm looking forward to my TT bike and I'm getting on that and training on it. Yeah. And I think it'll hopefully just make a bit of a difference and a slight ease. But I'm definitely using it for Durban.
Yeah. All right, you want to give a shout out to our listeners and tell them to press the button and subscribe and do all the nice
guys,
things.
Please like, subscribe, share, do all the right things, guys. Live beyond. Come on, we're just trying to make a difference and change people's lives for the better. How?
Yeah. So we'll have in our next episodes, we'll have a few guests and watch the space, guys. We have a few exciting and interesting people coming up. So we promise to bring this episode every month. An episode, and hopefully we'll increase the frequency if we get a sponsor to jump on board and pay for production and equipment hire and whatnot.
No, we do it for the love, guys. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Woo! That was nice. That was actually nice. It was a good catch.
Well done. Yeah.
Good catch up. Thank you, cameras. That's